Welcome to this week's episode of the Mobile Classroom, the video podcast where we demonstrate today's most popular technologies. I'm James Messer, and this week I thought we'd have a little fun. This week's topic is on customizing your desktop. So we're going to do some things with what we have in our desktop to make it a little more exciting, to make it a little more fun, and in some cases to also make it a lot more functional. We'll go through a lot of different programs, most of them out there absolutely free to use, that'll really spice up what you're doing on your desktop, whether you're running Windows 2000, Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows Vista, it doesn't matter. We've got something for you in this episode. This week's podcast is absolutely free. We don't have any restrictions on the content today. You're not going to see a preview. You will see the entire podcast from end to end, no matter who you are. If you are one of our mobile members, you will get this podcast in a much higher resolution than anybody else has access to. So you'll have a 720p HD available resolution for you. And that particular resolution is one you can only get if you are a mobile member. Every third video we do is a mobile member only video. So last week, if you wanted to see our video on how you could restore files that you might have accidentally deleted, or that somebody's brought you a camera and they accidentally deleted their pictures, we had an entire podcast of what applications you can use, some free tips and tricks you can use, but it was only available for mobile members. So now we're on the first video after that. We got another one next week, and then that third one will be one just for our mobile members. So just a little bonus for you guys who are already mobile members. You get a little something extra that nobody else gets. If you'd like more information on becoming a mobile member, you'd like more information on what that really means, you can go to our website and see all about it at themobileclassroom.com/members. Here's what you'll learn today. We're going to look at customizing your desktop and your working environment. We're going to focus on the user interface itself. There are a lot of aspects to what we deal with day to day with the user interface, some of them good, some of them bad. We'll look and see how we can customize this entire UI we're looking at. We're also going to add a number of new features to the interface. I'm really excited about this episode because there are some tools and techniques that I use every day that really speed up the way that I use the Windows interface and the way that I access programs. I'm going to share all of that with you this week. We'll start our trip down this customization of the desktop on something that not a lot of people use. And I wonder why. I use a dock myself on my user interface. It's actually a dock that came with my Dell system. But there are a number of docks out there, 4, 5, 6, 7 free types of docks that you could use for your computer. And the one that we're going to install this week is one called Rocket Dock. I've gone through a lot of different kinds of docks in researching and trying to determine which one should I share with you. I've used Rocket Dock in the past because it looks good. It runs really fast. Even if you're on an older computer that maybe doesn't have the fastest video card in the world, Rocket Dock still works extremely well. And even better, it's free. So you don't have to pay anything for it. There's nothing extra that you would have to pay for to get extra features or extended capabilities. A really nice application. Let's install it and see how it looks on my Windows XP system. If you've already followed along with a number of our video podcasts, then this desktop looks really familiar to you because this is the very plain Jane install with the default configuration Windows XP desktop that I use to demonstrate a number of different technologies. So what we would like to do is install Rocket Dock and see if we can really make this interface work a little bit better for us. And I'm going to use, since it's right here on my desktop, we'll use Google Chrome to surf out to the Rocket Dock website. Let's see, let's change this to rocketdock.net. And the Rocket Dock website, pretty nice, gives you a quick explanation about what Rocket Dock is. There's a nice video right on the front page if you'd like to learn more about it. If you'd just like to jump right to the downloads, we can do that. Gives you the system requirements, Windows 2000, XP, Vista, and 7. So we're kind of covering the bases there from a Windows perspective. You'll notice here that if you're running a Windows XP, Windows Vista, or Windows 7 64-bit edition, this software is not going to work for you. So sorry, you 64-bit folks, but You're probably used to hearing that at this point. 64-bit operating systems, extremely powerful, but not a huge amount, or certainly not the same amount of support in the industry that we have for 32-bit operating systems. Let's click the download Rocket Dock, and I have here in Google Chrome, it tells me that this type of file can harm your computer. Are you sure you want to download Rocket Dock? Why, thank you, Google Chrome, but in this case, I am absolutely certain that I would like to download that. It's a very fast download, very small to install. It's only 6.2 megabytes, and you can see it's already down here. Let's double click to launch it. It says that the publisher couldn't be verified. This executable is one, though, that I trust, so that sounds fine with me. Let's run it. What language should we use? Let's use English. I think we'll be better off in the long run, won't you? Welcome to the Setup Wizard. Let's install Rocket Dock 135 on my computer. Recommended you close all other applications before continuing. Why don't we do that? We'll get rid of the Chrome that's in the background here. I'll click Next to continue. License agreement. Please read all of this. I know that you won't. I know that I don't. And yet, there they are. It's this odd little thing we go through in our industry, isn't it? No, I've read the entire thing, and I agree with everything that it says. That's for my lawyers. The setup will install Rocket Dock into this folder, Program Files Rocket Dock. That makes perfect sense. We'll click Next. Would you like setup to put a desktop icon? We'll put one there. We might want to go in and out of the application. That'll make it a little easier. I can click Install to continue. Let's do that. It now copies down the files that it needs, a very relatively small program. So this goes pretty quick. And now it has finished installing Rocket Dock on my computer. We'll click Finish to exit the Setup Wizard. And sure enough, there's our Rocket Dock right there. Why don't we start it up? I'll just double click Rocket Dock and we'll see what happens. And you can see on your screen now, you've got at the top a dock. This is the default dock configuration that comes with Rocket Dock. And if you mouse over, you start to see that you've got capabilities here to now launch different applications. I can do a lot of different things with Rocket Dock. If you're familiar at all with the Mac OS operating system, this has a number of UI elements that are very similar to what you can do in Mac OS X with the default dock that comes with that operating system. So already we're extending some of the capabilities and things that we can do. If you'd like to see the My Music folder, you can click on that. It gives you a little animation that shows that you chose that one, and it launches on your screen the My Music folder. Very, very simple to do. There are a number of customization capabilities in Rocket Dock. There's an option right here for dock settings. Let's click on that and see what options we might have available. We can run it at startup. We can minimize our windows to this dock so that if you're running any programs, those programs will minimize into the end of this dock. And that's one of those Mac OS X kind of capabilities as well. Obviously, docks have been out a long time, well before Mac OS X, well before Windows. A long time ago, even back in the Xerox days that really pioneered the user interface and the mouse itself, they were already using docks for a lot of the things that they were doing. We can change the icons. We can change the quality of the icons to be faster or slower, depending on what you would like to do, the opacity, how you would like to zoom, what happens when you zoom, the capabilities. Look at all these customization features. When we talk about customizing the desktop and making the desktop work the way you want it to work, this is a great way to do it. Where you would like it to be. If you'd like your dock instead to be over on the left side of the screen, you can do that. You can change exactly where this is going. You can add other capabilities to it as well. You can add and change different icons that happen to be in here. You can change the size of these. Maybe you don't like that's always going to be so big on your screen. You'd like to have a very minimalistic desktop, and you'd like to add a lot more icons into this view. You can then grab some other things from your desktop. Let's grab Recover, and we're going to stick it right there in our dock. That looks pretty good. And let's grab this Google Chrome. That looks pretty good. Let's put it right there. And my image burn program, I'm going to put right here. Well, now that it's in my dock, you could even, perhaps, I'm going to hit delete here, delete it right from my desktop. Let's get rid of Google Chrome. I'm going to drop it into my recycle bin, and we'll do that to Recover as well. We'll delete that shortcut. So now look at how I'm already changing the way my desktop looks. There are a number of things when you start working with customizing the desktop, you're going to run into situations like this one where you have in your Rocket Dock, you have a recycle bin. On my desktop, I have a recycle bin. I don't need both, but if I was to highlight the recycle bin on my desktop and hit the delete key, I can't delete it. And if I go into the properties on my machine and under the desktop tab, even in the customized desktop options, there's no recycle bin here. The only way to do this in Windows is to change a group policy for the user so that the recycle bin will disappear from the desktop. The way that you do that, if you go to Start and Run, you run a program called gpedit.msc. That is the group policy editor. And that will bring us up into this group policy view. In the user configuration, under your administrative templates, there is a separate setting here for the desktop. If I double click, you'll see, let me make this a little bigger for you. You have all these different options. You can hide and disable every item on your desktop if you'd like to. Probably not what you want to do, by the way. It can really create problems for you. If this was a kiosk that was in a public place, that might be something we do. In our case, not. What we'd like to do is remove the recycle bin icon from the desktop, and I can enable that group policy so that it will always do that. Now notice that you have to log off and then back on for that to actually work. So it's something where we can change it in here, we can apply it, but notice my recycle bin is still sitting there off to the side. So just something to keep in mind that sometimes you may have to do a couple of Google searches to find exactly the thing you're looking to remove from your desktop and how you can make that happen. Well, I took a few minutes. I took all of the icons that were on my desktop. I put them into my Rocket Dock. I logged off. I logged back on. And you can see the group policy that we've set has gotten rid of my recycle bin. And since I cleaned everything else off of my desktop, everything else is gone as well. So there's just a very simple program like Rocket Dock that can take a user interface that has a lot of icons on it and now greatly simplify how you can find what you're looking for, how you can start programs, and how you can manage them once they're started up. It seems like something's missing though with our desktop, doesn't it? It seems very bland. There's this blue background. There's really nothing to it but this blue color. So what I'd like to do is spice things up a bit, but I'm not a person with my geeky self who likes to just add a desktop background and that's it. I like things to be dynamic. I like things to always be changing and to be interesting and to apply and really be specific for the things that I like. Well, you can make a lot of changes to your background. We're going to show you how to change the backdrop of what's already there and to something that's completely different. In the past, if you've ever tried to do this with your desktop, especially at very high resolutions, it can be a little difficult to manage where you get your desktops from. Do you really like the desktops that you're finding? If you go out to the internet, some things are free, some things are not free. The things that are free are on websites that are very busy, sometimes difficult to find, not always easy. I like automation. I like to set it up and have it work exactly the way I'd like all the time automatically. Fortunately, there are some programs out there that can do this for you that are already taking advantage of a number of resources that are on the internet. Specifically, the one that I'd like to show you today is a great little program called John's Background Switcher. You'll find it here at this big long URL, www.johnsadventures.com. If you go there, you can easily find it. But if you want to keep typing the /software/background switcher, you will find it. Now, what's nice about this background switcher is it pulls in pictures from any place you'd like. It can pull them in from Flickr, from Facebook, from just standard RSS feeds you might have, from a lot of these other places as well. And you can really customize this to be exactly what you'd like to see. Let's install it and I'll give you a feel for what's there. You're really going to like how this works. Here's the John's Background Switcher 4.1 setup wizard. I'm going to click next to continue. We have some options here that we can check or uncheck. In my case, I'm just going to leave everything exactly the way it is. I really don't need the French, German, or Dutch languages, but that's okay. You could probably take them off on yours if you don't need them. It's going to put it in program files, johnsadventures.com. John's Background Switcher looks good to me, and let's install. Now, there is some Microsoft components that are needed to use this program, so it's going to download those over your existing internet connection. If it finds that they're already on your system, then it doesn't need to install them. But it's kind of nice that this program checks to see if you do need that capability and then downloads it so that you can then continue on with the install. You don't have to go out to another browser to download that separately and install it. Once that .NET framework is downloaded, it's going to install the .NET framework. And in reality, that .NET framework is used for a lot of other programs as well. So it's nice that we're at least getting that onto this Windows XP system that we use because we may run across another program that needs that. And after the Microsoft.NET Foundation installs, the background switcher setup finishes pretty quickly. We can click Finish, which is going to run the background switcher, and we can read what's new in this version. Let's click Finish. We get our What's New message, so we can see in the latest version of the background switcher what's there. And we have the background switcher itself. Now, this gives you a really nice overview. Welcome to the background switcher. It says we haven't defined any picture sets to use yet in this. We can create some default sets from here. We can change the way this is used. This is changing the switching every hour. Notice we've got all the way down to changing the background every 30 seconds, all the way up to once every 7 days. The picture mode is to scale and crop to full screen, or scale pictures to fit the screen, or center the pictures on the screen. You can do mosaics, four picture montages, a lot of different options here, even random, surprise you with whatever it happens to do. Let's keep the scale and crop to full screen. Even multiple monitor support. These are capabilities that normally you'd have to pay for to have this on your system. So if you're someone who uses multiple desktops, you can have either the same picture on both desktops or have a different picture on each monitor. Mix it up a little bit so it's a little different for you. I really like that capability. Very nice that it's built into this. Let's create some default sets. I'm just going to click the button and it will go out to my computer to my pictures to use those backgrounds if I'd like, and I don't. So I'm going to click that so we don't use those. I can use the top 250 photos from the last 7 days that are in Flickr, the top 250 photos from a certain user, John Connors. John's background switcher. Hey, that's John's pictures. We can do the top 200 photos from the Waterfalls group and an NGM Animal Lovers group as well. And here's what's nice about this is that if you have a certain passion or something that you really enjoy, if you like horses, there is a horses group on Flickr. If you like World of Warcraft, there is a World of Warcraft set of pictures on Flickr. You can specify the group that you'd like to pull those from, and now your desktop will become a lot more customized for you. That's the whole point here. Even some RSS feeds are in here, but I wouldn't like those either. Let's just use the ones from Flickr for now. Notice that you can configure this also to log into Flickr. So if you have private pictures that are on Flickr, it'll put those on your desktop as well. There are a lot more options in here and capabilities. If I click this More button, you can really go in here and put in different shortcuts to move. You can show picture information on the screen, show dated information if it's available. There are advanced settings in here. You can change the way the montages look. You can really spend a lot of time in here really configuring this exactly the way you want. Very nice application. Very well done. I'm going to click OK and click OK. And we're going to look down at the bottom of our screen, in fact, is the John's background switcher icon that's sitting there. And now we have the ability to configure this to be whatever we'd like. If I right mouse click and say, give me the next background, notice that the icon changes a little bit so that it's now working. And now we're going to wait as this downloads the latest picture that we're getting from Flickr, from any one of those groups, and it goes on the screen. So there's our new background with this quite dramatic change. It's a snowy owl, and you can see we added that information up there. This is from today, Friday, January 22nd, when I'm doing this recording. And this is just really fresh right there on Flickr. So you're always going to get the latest pictures or the most popular pictures, and you can add many, many, many more options to this. So your desktop's always changing, always different. On my main desktop, I have it set up with this program to change, I think once every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15, so that every time I flip back to my desktop, there's something new there. It's like a surprise every time. What a great little program. And already look at how different our desktop is. Look at how different now it was from that bland Windows XP setting we had before. I've now got this full screen view. I've got different pictures that are going to pop up all the time. I've cleaned my desktop out so that I've got this bar across the top so that I can now easily, with my Rocket Dock, choose what I'd like. We're really getting somewhere now with our customization. Let's see what else we're going to be able to do to make this environment really pop for us. So far as we've gone down this process of customizing our desktop, we've kind of gotten rid of a lot of things on our desktop. We've made it very minimalistic, but some people have a lot of icons on their desktop. I'm one of those people. I'm always putting things out there. It's my workspace. It's a place where, just like you'd put papers on your desk, I like to put a lot of documents on my desktop and I can move them around and sort them. But if you've ever done a lot of that with Windows, you know it's a mess. It's really hard to organize what goes where. Well, we're going to fix that today with a program called Fences. This is from a corporation called stardock.com, and they have a product called Fences that is free for personal use. There is a pro version available you could purchase. I have no affiliation with Stardock. This is just something that I use on my machine. I use the free version, which works perfectly for me, but it's a company that does have other products I've used in the past. So perfectly good company for what they do. And some of the other things, they have their own dock software. They have their own Windows customization software. They have some really neat things, but today we're going to use just the Fences capability. So let's download that and install it and see what we can do with it. From our XP desktop now, I'm going to start my Google Chrome again. We'll have it start up, and I will select the option. I'm just going to paste in that URL that I showed you earlier that goes out to stardock.com. Here's the Stardock website. Fences, your tool for a clean desktop. You're really going to like this. There's a free for personal use, and there's the pro version. Let's do the free download and see how this goes. Fences, just what your desktop has always needed. Gives you this nice breakdown of exactly the differences between the free and the pro version. All sounds good to me. Let's download that free version. It's going to pop us out to CNET, and we're going to download it directly from there. And it's going to start this, and again, Google Chrome, it's so good to me. Are you sure you want to download that? Absolutely. Let's install it. It's going to download this, another 8.6 megabytes for this, and we'll double click to launch the install. I'll close out our browser behind the scenes. As Fences installs, this is another one of those programs that installs pretty quick. It's relatively small, especially in an operating system like Windows XP. 8.6 megabytes for the entire thing isn't very big. And it's a normal setup. We've gone through a couple of these already in this episode. We'll click Next. I agree to the terms of the license agreement that I haven't read. And here's Fences, gives us some nice information about how Fences works. Notice that it requires the .NET Framework 2.0, that it's there. Hey, we already installed that. We're way ahead of the game. Let's install Fences to the program file Stardock Fences. That sounds good. And we'll put it in Program Files Fences. And we'll click Next, and it begins the installation process. Since Fences is making some changes to the desktop itself, it says that it's going to need to reboot in order to finish the installation, and we'll reboot to use Fences. I've successfully installed. This is completed. We'll click Finish, and we're back to our desktop. So now let's have the system reboot, and then we'll start up our Fences configuration and see what we get. We've restarted. Now that we restart, we get a message saying, welcome to Stardock Fences. Fences was designed to help organize our desktop. To help start this process, it can create some fences for us. Well, that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to click that. And it says, how do I like to work? Just a couple of fences? Do I want to take all the icons on my desktop and automatically put them into fences? Well, I don't have a lot on my desktop at the moment, so let's just create a couple of fences on our desktop. And it puts them right here, a project 1 and a project 2, and it says now that it's ready to go. If we like to look at the configuration settings for this, I can open up that way, and here are everything we can do with the fences. Notice here's where all of these different layouts are. It puts them in the bottom right corner by default. It just put 2 of them that were there. I can create new fences from here. I can label a fence. I can adjust the way they look. I can make them so that they are very transparent or not transparent at all on my screen. I can change the brightness, the colors, how they look. I can outline them if I'd like, so I can always see them very well. I can even fade out some of the scroll bars that might show up if they are inactive, so it doesn't clutter the screen up with a lot of other pieces here. And you can hide or show desktop icons when the desktop is double-clicked. Now that we have this customization in place for our fences, let's add some icons into it. So I'm going to go into my Start menu here under All Programs. Let's see, I have a Maxthon. Let's take that and put it into Project 1. Puts it right there. Let's now take another program like OpenOffice, and I'm going to take OpenOffice.org Impress. I'm going to put that in Project 2. And lastly, I'm going to take perhaps some Recover. Let's take Recover and also put it in Project 2. Now, what's nice about this, it's now grouped together. I can change the size of these particular projects. I can change where they are on the screen. Here's the great part. They never move now. They're always going to be in that project. They're always going to be on the screen. They're always going to be available. No matter if you were to right mouse click and you said that you would like to refresh the screen, you would like to change where things are, you would like to sort icons, you would like to sort it by name, it doesn't matter. Everything now is all encapsulated in these little areas where I've set up for these little fences. I'm going to rename this to be office type products. I'm going to change this one to be internet. There, I've already customized some of the capabilities. I'm also going to change the way that some of the information on my screen looks. I may just want to have icons out there on my desktop as well. I can, of course, add other pieces into this. If I'd like Chrome to be on the desktop, it can still be there. It doesn't, just because I'm using the fences, doesn't mean I must stop using all other icons on my desktop. So that's there. If I double click on my desktop now, everything with the fences that's there all disappears. And if I double click again, fences comes back. So if you ever wanted to demonstrate something to someone, or you just wanted to get rid of the clutter really quick, I could double click and it would go away. So that's a really nice capability, being able to configure our desktop, get our fences the way we'd like it to be, have our icons now and managed exactly the way we'd like to manage it. Really changes how we can use this desktop, and it certainly simplifies how we can set up the screen and where we can put our icons. If you're someone like me who is working with an operating system, especially one like Windows XP, you're going to start installing a lot of programs, and you're going to have a lot of program groups and a lot of program directories. And if you ever go to the Start menu, there are lists and pages and pages and lists of things that you could select from. It becomes almost a task now just to figure out where the program is that you would like to run so that you can actually do some work. So one of the things that was really helped me with this is a program called Launchy. This is at launchy.net, where you don't have to have icons on the screen. You don't have to have a Start menu. You don't even have to pull up a file manager to figure out what program you want to run. You just use Launchy. Let me show you how great this is. We'll install it and run Launchy, and you'll understand why I like this so much. Launchy is an easy one to find. Let's open up our Google Chrome. I didn't even copy this one down to paste it in. I'm just going to type it in myself, launchy.net, and hit enter. And the Launchy website is pretty easy to figure out. Here's Launchy version 2.1.2. Here's what Launchy does. Free Windows and Linux utility designed to help you forget about all those things. We just index what's on your system. You use a couple of keystrokes and you're running. There's not even a lot of screenshots. You may come in here and say, let's see all the screenshots of Launchy. It's really not much there. There's 3 little things there. That's the whole point. Let's download it right now. I'm going to click the download, and we can find the latest version on SourceForge. I'm going to click that link so that we can go out there. It's going to take us to SourceForge and to the Launchy site, and let's download it right now, 4.1 meg. It's going to tell us that it's going to launch this. And again, Google Chrome says, is that okay? Sounds great with me. Let's save it. And we are downloaded. Let's launch Launchy Setup 2.1.2. Windows tells us the publisher couldn't be verified. That sounds good. We shall run it. And I'm going to close out our Chrome behind the scenes here. Welcome to the Launchy Setup Wizard. This will install Launchy 2.1.2 on your computer. Great. Please read this license agreement again still. I agree. Yes, I accept. I'm over it. The C:\program files Launchy is where it's going to put the installation of these files, and it'll create a Start menu folder for Launchy. I can also have a desktop icon and a quick launch icon if I'd like. Let's put one on the desktop just so you can see what it looks like, and we'll click Install. And it extracts the files, and it's done. We can view the README. Perhaps you might want to do that later, or let's just launch Launchy. Here's our desktop icon up here, and you can see it doesn't look like much has happened here. There's not a lot going on the screen. Launchy is, I think it's running. The way that you would tell is you hold down the Alt key and you hit the space bar, and Launchy will pop up on the screen now and give us a prompt. And from here, in this very sparse and very, very simple prompt, we can type whatever we'd like. For instance, I would like to type, let's start Recover. REC. Notice I just put REC in, and suddenly a lot of things popped up. Recover came up here on this link. It hasn't indexed everything quite yet. And a lot of other programs that have those particular words in them also launch there. Well, that was good. Let's try another one. Let's try Internet Explorer. I'll type Explorer. Windows Explorer comes up. Internet Explorer comes up. Launch Internet Explorer browser comes up. Look at how easy that is. Alt space bar again makes it disappear. So it's very easy. If I'm sitting here and I want to start a new program, I'm thinking I really would like to start up the Open Office Writer program. I can simply hit Alt-Tab and Writer, and it already knows I want OpenOffice.org Writer. and I didn't have to, my fingers didn't have to leave the keyboard. I didn't have to move the mouse around. I did not have to go down to my start menu under the all programs selection, sort through this. Right now is already getting to be a big mess of things. Find the OpenOffice.org 3.2, move over to this and find the writer and finally start it. Very, very simple. This Launchy will change the way that you start programs and that you work with your desktop. There are a number of other nice capabilities too with Launchy. If we type Google and we hit Tab, it puts a little message out there to the side, and we can put a Google search in there for the mobile classroom, and we'll hit enter, and it will launch us into our default browser and show us what the mobile classroom is. And guess what? At the very top of the mobile classroom, our video podcast shows up there. So look at how simple now we can integrate a lot of different capabilities, all with Launchy. What a great little desktop customization program. Now, at this point, we've gone through a number of different programs that changed perhaps a small aspect of our user desktop experience. But you may be somebody who would really like to tweak the desktop and have very specific configuration settings on the screen, change the way different aspects of the screen even work. There are a number of third-party programs you can use to do what I call power customization, where you can really change the way the desktop's looking in a very, very dramatic way. A great program to do this is one called Rainmeter. If you go to rainmeter.net, it is essentially a program that skins your desktop. You can customize exactly how your desktop looks. It can provide you with system information, how much memory your system's using, just like you would think of with a Rainmeter. You can look at memory utilization. You can see network usage. Gives you some nice metrics of how your system is performing. There are some built-in launchers from Rainmeter, so that if you didn't want to use Rocket Dock or you wanted to have another type of launcher on your system, you can do that. And you can also have Rainmeter go out to websites, pull back RSS information, and just present that into the background of your computer so that you don't have to launch a browser, you don't have to launch an RSS reader. Everything just pops up as the world changes around us. Our desktop will dynamically change along with us. Let's install Rainmeter, and you can get a feel for just how powerful this is. Let's start up our Google Chrome and rainmeter.net. The Rainmeter website looks pretty nice. Look at the screenshot of this particular desktop. You mean we can have desktops that look like this? Absolutely. Let's install this 32-bit version of Rainmeter. We'll download it right now, and I shall save it. Thank you, Mr. Google Chrome browser, for protecting me. And now that it's downloaded, this 8.7 megabyte program, let's open her up. We get our message that this is an open file security warning. We do trust this publisher, so I'll hit the run command. And let's close out our browser here so we clean things up a bit on the screen. And again, another license agreement for this happens to be a GNU General Public License. I agree with that. And I can check the components I would like to install and check the components I don't want to install. Let's install everything for Rainmeter and click Next. It's going to put it in Program Files Rainmeter. That sounds good. And away it goes and installs everything. If we'd like to see what's going on behind the scenes, we can click that Show Details button because there are a lot of files that are transferred over and put in there. The installation program goes pretty quick. It's going to install not just the programs that it needs, but also the Microsoft C++ redistributable application pieces. If you write a Microsoft C++, you occasionally do need to put those out there. When I like to install Rainmeter for all users, now just install it for me. And we are now finished with the setup wizard. Let's click Finish. And you can see up here at the upper left, I have a Rainmeter icon. Let's double click Rainmeter. And it's going to start us up into a Rainmeter configuration. It's going to bring up an option on the screen that gives us some ideas about what we can run and how we can customize different aspects of Rainmeter. One of the things I like about Rainmeter and all of the different things that comes along with it is that it gives you a lot of places, a lot of instructions on things you can do. For instance, it's got very first thing are instructions that it brings up. For Rainmeter includes a lot of different programs, and Enigma is one of those that it includes. I can start some skins. I can change themes. I can set up and configure different pieces. Let's start with that one. And you can see the Enigma configure has a lot of different options in here. So you can put, for instance, your Twitter username and password in here, your Gmail username and password in here, and it will use that to check your mail, to check any Twitter feeds. that you are interested in seeing, different RSS configurations, they're all in here. I'm not going to change any of this. We can exit out of this view. Rainmeter and the built-in tools that come with Rainmeter give you a lot of capabilities. If we look at some of the different themes available, Rain Theme starts up and I can load up different configurations. And as I load them, it will change what options I have available on the screen. You can see the things that load up at the bottom. Might put my CPU and RAM monitors at the bottom. If I load up, for instance, it has this nice little clock that's on the screen that you can put in other places as well. I have an Enigma preview that shows and really shows the capabilities of Enigma and some of the things that it can do with its preview skin. We'll let that load up and it puts everything on the screen. Look at all the different Gmail and the clocks in the different parts of the world, the RSS feeds. I've got information about my wireless network, about the network throughput on my system, Twitter feeds, what's playing in my media player right now. A lot of different capabilities. In fact, I like that one. Let's leave that one right there. Everything on your screen can be customized. Everything on your screen can be moved around exactly where you would like it. Different parts of the screen can be colored differently. They can have different skins. This really takes everything that deals with visibility on your screen and takes it to the next level. This whole capability of diving into a Rainmeter and Enigma and all of these other tools with it really can extend the capabilities in some very dramatic ways. If you'd really like to see how people can take this idea of adding all of these different customizations to their screens to really come up with something dramatic, go out to Flickr.com. There's a group out there called Lifehacker Desktops Show and Tell. And this Lifehacker Desktop Show and Tell really can provide you with some very interesting inspirations of things you can do. Let's look at a couple of them. Here's one of the desktops from there that I like a lot. Then what's nice about this is not only do they put a screenshot of your desktop that you could click on the all sizes and see the exact original size, even if you wanted to, of that desktop. I've made it smaller here so we can see the whole thing. Look at the background they've got. Look at how they've set the lighting and the different pieces and how they've integrated these pieces into this. But what's nice about this, if I back up just a little bit so you can see it, at the bottom here, they've put exactly the way that they created that desktop. They used a shutdown skin for Rainmeter. They've got a note skin. They've got a hard drive free space on the screen. There's a battery meter there, computer stats, a stock ticker, and he uses different programs. Use the wallpaper that comes with Windows 7. He has put a different clock in the bottom. He's got some shutdown boxes. He uses Next One for that. He's got HUD Vision and Enigma for everything else. And he's got some changes to the skin that he's done customization. So people can really take these ideas of customizing their desktop and really take them to the next level. Just browse through this Lifehacker Desktop Show and Tell, and you will be amazed at some of the things that you see pop up on the screen and just how simple it is. Here's a screen, a wood leather desktop that's just Rainmeter. They put a background in and everything else is done with Rainmeter that we just installed. A lot of great capabilities here, plenty to look at, and you could spend hours, even days, going through just to see what other people are doing with their desktop, just how dramatic those changes can be. That brings us to the end of another Mobile Classroom podcast. Hopefully you've seen a few capabilities and tweaks that you can do to your desktop to really customize it so it looks better, it works better, and at the end of the day, you're now more productive. If you'd like to always watch out for what's going on with the Mobile Classroom, you could get on our Twitter feed at twitter.com/mobile classroom. There's also a link on our website. If you're someone who likes to be on Facebook, we've got a link right there so you can have a look at our Facebook page. You'll know immediately the second we get a brand new podcast out every week. You can also, of course, visit themobileclassroom.com and see any of our podcasts that are freely available out there, different resolutions as well. And if you'd like to send me a message, you can always contact me at james@themobileclassroom.com. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next time on The Mobile Classroom.